Hello everyone. Today I want to talk to you about 4 projects that I have worked on recently. All of these are text-based V-carve type projects. The first one is going to be this I love you sweetheart sign. The second one is going to be this plaque with the stand to hold it. The third one is going to be this award, and in this case we're going to be talking about doing some work with acrylic. And then the fourth one is going to be this text inlay sign that I worked on. Now, my focus in doing these projects is more to learn something new than it is to actually produce the project. Although producing the project is, of course, a part of the equation. So what I want to do with each one of these is kind of go over what I learned new as I was working on the project. First project is going to be this small little sign, I love you sweetheart. Been married 50 years and don't think you can have too many of the I love you sweetheart signs. So that'll be the first thing. Secondly, this was the first project I had worked on after getting the machine. I had, if you looked at some of the other earlier videos I put together, I'd gone down to the Legacy facility, attended a 2-day training class, and of course in there we'd done some V-carving work. And the question was, did I remember all the steps, and was I going to be doing this right? So a simple little sign really works pretty well for that. It's not hard to model. You go in, build the size of the workpiece, throw some text on it, go over and get your V-carve toolpath, and then cut it out, and you cut it done. So from the Aspire standpoint, it was pretty straightforward. The main thing was, did I remember all of the steps? And not necessarily on the first try, but yes, I did remember all the steps. Got the sign put together. The other story behind this is where the wood came from. My son was having a large fir tree cut down for some firewood. People come in, cut it down, had cut down a maple tree before they came to his job site. And they said, oh, well, you want some firewood? Then hey, we'll give you this maple also, you can use that for firewood. So he called me up and said, Dad, do you want the maple? And I said, well, let me come take a look at it. Cut it open, and it had a whole bunch of pearl in there, and it had some bird's eye. It was the best looking firewood I had ever seen. So, don't necessarily need to have you go out the firewood pile and start cutting them up, see if you got some good wood in there, but I was pretty pleased with the maple that I got out of that. I've got some more that's still drying, and hopefully it'll be part of an interesting project in the future. So, learned a bunch by putting this project together. Second project was this little recognition award that I put together, as you might have noted or might have seen from future video, from past videos. Sorry, I've been very involved with robotics in our local school district, getting robotics programs started after school. There's been several people in the district who've been very instrumental in making that happen. I wanted to kind of say thank you for all the work that they had put in, so I put this little plaque together. This was a little bit of a learning exercise for me, because I started off and thought, oh, how big should it be? And I had something like this. And I'm going to guess from the video that it's probably pretty hard to read the text. And you know what? If you turn it like this and look at it, it's still pretty hard to read the text. You can see it, you can see the text, but it really didn't stand out too much. So then I began to experiment, kind of came up with this size. That was much better. Just a little piece of MDF and carved it out and said, oh, how do I like that? It was better, but I kind of wanted the letters to be deeper. So continued to experiment, got things the way I liked them, And then came up with this plaque. Did the finishing on it. This is made out of oak. Did the finishing on it and thought that came out pretty good. Was initially thinking that I wanted to put some kind of a keyhole holder in the back and let them hang it on a wall. The more I thought about that, the less I liked it. The more I thought, I kind of need to have some way to hold this up that they can set it on their desk. So then I began to think about some designs that I could 3D print. Came up with this. This fits in there pretty good. It sits on the desk, and people we've given it to got it on the desk. People can read it, and it worked out pretty good. So I learned a lot about experimenting with size, being able to do some additional work with carving, get the depth in there. And then I worked with 3D printing before, so that wasn't too bad. That worked out pretty good. I think we've given out 3, 4, 5 of these now, if I remember right. So that worked out pretty good. That was project number 2. Project number 3 is a request that we received from the superintendent of the school district saying he would like to hand out some awards. Did we have some ideas of how we could put the awards together? And we were kicking around ideas, built some prototypes. You can see some of the prototypes here. Here was one of the prototypes. He just wanted to recognize people that had done an exceptional job in the school district. And so we kicked around that. They said, no, that's not what we want. It's a little too big. And then we came up with something a little bit smaller and put the text down here, Superintendent's Award. This one's for excellence. But the main thing here that was new for me was working with acrylic. It actually came out pretty good. I like the way it machines. You do see tool marks in there, and I had read about fire polishing acrylic. I tried that. It worked almost the way I was hoping for it to do. Actually, it worked exactly like I was hoping for it to do in several areas, but there is a skill involved in being able to do it. Fire polish the edge. When I was trying to work on the R here in Renton, there was a lot of places that needed to be you actually kind of melt the surface. And I got that a little bit too hot. You probably can't see it on the video, but there's actually some bubbles in the acrylic, which is what happens when you get it too hot. So, learned some stuff with working with this one, and some kind of do's and don'ts as far as working with acrylic. That's number 3. Number 4 is this sign right here. This was kind of an interesting project. First time I'd done any inlay work on the CNC. And I learned multiple things. First of all, doing the positive side of this, just carving the letters out, cutting the frame out, pretty straightforward. But I used I think it was a triple classic or something like that, pretty good sized bit, cutting this out. It worked great, got a nice smooth cut. The thing I would change there is that the feed rate I had, and I don't remember, I was using the default feed rate. The feed rate I had for it was actually pretty aggressive on the end grain here. It really made that spindle motor come down and work pretty hard to be cutting down on this end grain. That's a pretty good sized cut. It was multiple passes, so I went down and made multiple passes, but it was really working pretty hard. Made a whole lot of sawdust on that. So that was one thing. The other thing that I learned was this inlay text is really interesting stuff to work with. First of all, the way you do that is you make the positive out of the O, carve the positive letters into the O, and then you get, in my case, I had some Purple Heart, and made the negative in the Purple Heart. And then glue them together, mill off the top, and that's what you got. Well, so I started out and did the O, worked out good. Did the Purple Heart, where the Purple Heart was a piece big enough to cover all this. Ran into a problem where I had an error message that said the stepper motor ran out of data. Oh, hallelujah, what the heck is that? Okay, gave the folks at Legacy a call. They explained to me what was going on and had me make a couple changes to the CNC, or to the machine. I also slowed down the cutting speed when I was doing that. All of those things seem to fix the problem. In a real quick nutshell, I'm not going to try to go over what changes they made. Probably wouldn't explain them right anyway. But in a nutshell, what is happening there is information is being sent from the computer to the CNC, and the CNC is cutting it out. If the CNC does not have the next instruction when it's ready to run it, meaning the computer can't send it fast enough, then you get this stepper motor ran out of data. So we've got that problem fixed and carved the negative as one piece, put it on here, and didn't fit. Oh, great. Okay. Then I said, well, all right, I'm going to make another piece, and I'm just going to have each one of the words on here. Carved those out. They fit great. Came up, put some glue on it, slapped them on, put some weight on top, let it dry, and then put this back on the machine. Was going to just mill off the top of it, and lo and behold, the several pieces. You can see the top of the D, a little piece broke off there. The L and the I and the dot over this I had some problems with those, meaning about half of the material came out of the glue joint that I had. So, could be a host of reasons why that happened, but I was able to repair it, just go back and mill some other parts out, put them in, glue them in, and I was good to go. So, got that done, smoothed it off, sanded it, finished it, and it worked pretty good. If I was going to be doing it again, I'd probably try to make a little bit tighter joint. So when we did the negative of the letters, we actually left a little space in there for the glue to exist. And the little space was a few thousandths, don't remember the exact number. So I'd probably try to experiment and see if I could get that to be a little tighter and be able to push those two pieces of wood together more so that they would have a little bit tighter glue joint. And then when you mill it off, hopefully the pieces of the letter wouldn't come out. But an interesting project, learned several things doing it. Like the way that you see the contrast on here. You can read that from a distance and it works pretty well. So, in conclusion, I built a lot of these projects, like I said, just to be able to learn something new, some new feature of the machine, and trying to kind of push forward on understanding the machine. So, thanks for listening. If you got any comments on things that I could do better, do different, things that you've learned, please be sure and put them in the comment section down below. And we'll talk to you later. In the meantime, let's go make some router bit dust.